Oh, hey guys, Atlantean Vampire here. So, all right, a few things, right? I have a backlog of videos that I don't have the means to work on, right? Some of them, like, I wanted to make a long video on Gnosticism, or rather, my own weird tradition. And yeah, that's I don't want to make it a series. I want to make it one video, and it occurred to me that it's a very important video to me, and I'd like to do it right. There's a few videos I'd like to do right. Some that I just don't care about. They are what they are. Take it the way it is or don't. But there's one that I really just a couple that I thought to myself, I'd like to just find someone that is a professional and give them money and make sure they have a sense of humor and are politically incorrect like me, and have them edit it together, and make it like compelling, entertaining, increase the views. Actually, I don't really want a lot of views. I really don't. I trust that I don't believe that that bullshit of, oh, the universe works the way it works, like everything happens for a reason, or I just trust in the force that things will go right. I don't want a lot of subscribers. I had like 250 subscribers back before the purge, when I would just talk about ideology and politics. And it's funny, I've had people rub in my face for like years now. Oh, you're edgy right-wing authoritarian politics, or it's just a teenage phase, right? Well, I started off when I was 16, and yeah, I mean, went through different ideologies, but remained in the same philosophy. Like, if you were a leftist, like the difference between, like, I think I'm a Maoist, or I think, no, I'm a Stalinist. No, 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 I'm most certainly a technocrat. Just like the opposite version of that. And yeah, no, I'm 25 years old. I started when I was 16. That's not a decade, is it? I don't even know. But yeah, just basically my brain's fully developed. I have the same mindset, and then the amount of people that have said to me, oh man, you know, you're pussiless, right? You have no women. If you lay down with a woman, and stop having a stick up your ass, you're not going to care about all of these like bigoted, terrible politics or whatever, and you'll just learn how to enjoy life. Been through a mountain of women, a mountain of flesh, and all it's done is made me want to hang myself. I wish I was still a virgin. Virginity is good. Fatherhood is good. Masculinity is good. A lot of the decisions I've made in my young life are reprehensible, and brings me great shame. Anyways, yeah, and now that I have a woman that I love, all I want to do, like the first thing that matters to me in this incarnation, which is such a out of left field thing to say, but this life, but this incarnation is her. She's the only thing that matters, and right now the only things I'm worried about are like taxes that I'm a little late on, and going through a lot of other legal stuff, getting passports and stuff like that. Because it'd be nice to go to my ancestral homeland, England. It'd be nice to go back to Canada. It'd be nice to explore the, my empire. It's it brings me great sorrow what's going on in London right now, and that's kind of been emotionally fucking with my mind. It's been difficult. I've been crying over the situation with the crown. I'll be honest, like that is something that touches me, and seeing the monarchy in such a state that's so embarrassing just makes me, it makes my heart very weak, and makes me mentally withdrawn, and just, yearning for a world that I know is probably never going to come back, wishing, the Commonwealths would unite, But yeah, no, there's a lot going on in my mind, and vampire videos are the least of my concerns. And yeah, I will say though, me and a few British occultists were going to be forming our own little cute little witch coven, uh, dedicated to the crown, where basically, we curse pedophiles and communists with like some of the most nastiest, raunchiest, baneful magic, like the kind of shit that you're just like, you have to be an advanced level practitioner. There are a lot of occult traditions that I dabble in, and I'm a veteran baneful practitioner. If I curse someone, they die. That's it, right? And I want to make a video on baneful ethics at some point. That's very important to me. But I realize, just with the state of the world and knowing that I don't have the money nor influence to do what I need to do for my nation or nations, my people, it's difficult, right? So me and a few British occultists, Australian occultist, and Canadian occultist, we plan on creating a little, coven of dudes to basically like curse enemies of our empire, and yeah, curse the pedophiles, the communist, the J word, a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, and it's been difficult, just as far as jobs go. I'm not going to be on here as much. Like I said, I need to get caught up in my finances. I'm starting the 7-day work week more, because honestly, it's great. I love it. I'm going to be working 12-hour shifts 5 days a week, and then like regular 10-hour shift on the weekends, and hard work, but it's worth it, right? Because like I said, I look at all my guy friends that are a complete waste of space on this earth. They fuck around with girls that don't love them, and they're, how do I put it? They're misguided. They drink a lot. They go to the bars, and there's not a problem with drinking. I'm an alcoholic myself, although I've been struggling to stay off of it. But again, it's what I need to do right by my woman. And I'd like to break the generational cycle. I don't want to ever see my future kids see me drink. Although I'm not going to stop them if they decide to drink, because I don't know, like if a 16-year-old wants to drink alcohol, whatever, like whatever, yeah, it's, yeah, no, especially with the schooling system. How can you get through, school without, like how can you get through school sober? I know this from experience. My straight A's were when I was allowed, well, not allowed, but when I gave myself permission to sit back and crack a beer. But yeah, no. Anyways, yeah, no, I just see all my guy friends that are concerned with, financial security for themselves because they're individualist. Seeing this world of materialism and individualism is so unconscionable and reprehensible to me. All these guys that I know that are obsessed with playing video games, that haven't picked up a book. Meanwhile, I've been working out. I want to get into calisthenics, and I've been reading every day, mainly right-wing literature from the 20th century, a lot of Oswald Mosley. But, just, I don't know, it's just weird. They have no purpose. They keep saying to me, Alex, you got to do this and this to be happy. You got to have fun. Why don't you go play Fortnite with us? And I'm like, no, dude, you're my same age. Grow the fuck up. We're in our mid-20s now, right? The only reason why we exist is to perpetuate our civilization, to have children, and to literally fight for our society, fight for our legacy, our posterity, to plant a tree to whose shade we will not sit under, but our children will, to create more life, to expand civilization, to fight against the dying of the light. And you want to play Fortnite with me? So it's going to be dehumanizing, but here's the thing. I work really hard. All my guy friends, they look at me and they're like, how the fuck do you work as hard as you do? And I'm like, because I have something that none of your Fortnite, none of your money, none of any of any of you have, right? That no matter how much money you have, no matter how many college degrees, no matter what job you have, whatever hobby, you know, you can't afford it, you know. It's something that most celebrities don't have. And I say it's pride. It's pride in knowing that in a world that is rough and terrible, that my woman can smile, enjoy herself, and even though my hands will be blistered and covered with calluses, to know that her skin will be smooth and soft, that she can smile, that she can be the optimism to my pessimism, you know, the light to my perpetually cold, miserable darkness, you know, to, you know, feel pride knowing that, you know, she doesn't have to work in a society where in order to have a functioning relationship, you have to have both partners work, even without kids, to know that I'm like, well, I'm a man, you know, and that's not just some arbitrary thing, and that it's not just some fucking I don't know. It's not just something that's like, oh, well, yeah, that means you're an adult male. Fuck you. No. That being a man is so much more than having a penis. But then again, I will make the disclaimer, you can only be a man if you have a penis. You know, like that's not up for options, right? You know, I hate the notion where they're like, oh, gender essentialism and, you know, enforces the patriarchy. Is you're dehumanizing women into saying that a woman is just how she dresses and all of these feminine mannerisms and societal expectation. And then when men dress up like women, then, you know, that allows the trannies to take over. No, no, it doesn't. Because as how many trannies were taking over when women were expected to wear dresses? Come on, no, this is your problem, right? Everyone knew that basically not all females could be real women, but no man could ever be a woman. That's just intellectually dishonest, and I do not stand for that bullshit. You know, no woman could ever be a man, right? But not all boys, not all males can be men. You know, and that's the thing. I have a lot of friends that are males, a lot of friends that are boys in their mid 20s. And, you know, I have a lot of friends that are in their 50s that are boys, that are little boys. They're just children, right? And I'm a man. I can say that I'm a man. I can say that I have pride because I know that this life is not about me. I know that my life is only valuable up until the point in which it is sacrificed upon the altar of righteousness for the greater good of my collective.
武士は普段から武道の鍛錬はいたしますが、なかなか生々のことでは戦場の華々しい死なんてものはなくなってしまった。その中で、王職もあれば斜陽族もあり、今で言えばこのアイビー族みたいなのも侍の間に出てきた時代でした。その中でハークレン著者はいつでもその武士というものは一致か八致かの選択の時には死ぬ方を先に選ばなきゃいけないということを口を酸っぱくして説きましたけれども、著者自身は長生きして畳の上で死ぬのであります。でそういうふうに武士でもあっても結局死ぬチャンスがつかめないで、死ということを心の中に描きながら生きていった。そういうことで、仕事をやっていますときに、なんか性の検体といいますか、ただ人間が自分のために生きようということだけには卑しいものを感じてくるのは当然だと思うのであります。それで、人間の生命というものは不思議なもんで、自分のためだけに生きて自分のためだけに死ぬというほど人間は強くないんです。というのは人間は何か理想なり、何かのためということを考えてるんで、生きるのも自分のためだけに生きることにはすぐ飽きてしまう。すると死ぬのも何かのためということが必ず出てくる。それが昔言われた大義というものです。そして大義のために死ぬということが人間の最も華々しい、あるいは英雄的な、あるいは立派な死に方だというふうに考えられている。しかし今は大義がない。これは民主主義の政治形態というものは大義なんてものいらない政治形態ですから当然なんですが、それでも心の中に自分を超える価値が認められなければ、生きていることすら無意味になるというような心理状態がないわけではない。
That's, to me at least, what being a man is. Not wealth, people, community. People are the only thing that matters in this world. Anything else can be damned. But anyways, yeah, so I won't have time to be doing YouTube videos as much, right? Any videos I post will pretty much be on a backlog or whatever. But, when I'm confident that her finances are secured and I pay back debts and all that and get caught up to where I need to be, and I make, here's the thing, I'm not going to spend money on any extracurricular activities until she is fully self-sufficient and till she gets this beautiful red burgundy dress that I've always wanted to get her, which is, I don't even want to get into the price, but yeah, so eventually, I'd like to hire an editor, right? Um, you know, but yeah, no, so the whole baneful magic thing, I want to get back into my baneful practice or whatever, because unlike vampirism, which is a state of being, being a baneful practitioner is just a practice, and it's a practice I'm good at, right? It's something I'm very passionate about. I've always been passionate about it. And I remember when I was making money, I was making hundreds of almost $1,000 each month doing it. And I was much younger. I was a teenager. And that's because for instance, I had a friend who, how do I put this, was in a political organization in Portland, Oregon. And him and his friends were a part of a meme chat, right? And basically, he's in the same movement as me, and his girlfriend at the time, which is now his wife, they have another kid on the way, God bless them. But basically, a coworker, a little vegan dude, basically saw the stuff that was being posted in the work chat. This is a private, out of the workplace group, and reported it to the workplace. My friend almost lost their job. And, his girl was, wait, no, this was so many years ago. Were they already married? I don't know. Point is, no, they weren't married yet, but they wanted to get married and have a kid, right? And he, with a background with crime, didn't want to do anything illegal, reasonably so. You can't fuck up your kid's future due to a vendetta, right? But he's also Christian, so he knew that I could do things that he couldn't. So he gave me the ritual was like $250. I assembled a rune stave, cow's tongue, coyote urine, I believe uranium, gunpowder, barbed wire, bunch of other stuff, right? And the goal was to break this person, to make it so all his friends and family would turn their back on him, and to gradually degrade his mental health, to make him feel alone and isolated in his own life. Yes, for reporting my friend, for being racist. Anyways, it worked. All his family stopped talking to him, his friends stopped talking to him, and the goal was basically to make his life so miserable that only at the end, in which every form of psychological suffering could be inflicted, then and only then would he be allowed to die, right? And thus, he ended up homeless, living in his car in California, doing drugs. So the ritual worked, but this is what I mean. There are so many people that come to me and ask, hey, how do I get into baneful magic, right? And I'm like, you have to be a killer. And they're like, what? And I'm like, so a lot of people, like, let's say you're an average person and someone hurts your sibling or your kid, right? Actually, let's just say your sibling, because even if you're not a killer, if it's your kid, you will become a killer. If you're a normal human being, that is. But, someone hurts your sibling or your friend, right? Oh, kitty. And how do I put this? Basically, they might have raped them, or they might have stolen their money, or did something super, super fucked up. And, okay, you would be okay with cursing them to die, because that's protectment. You're not liable in the courts if you're, or yeah, you're not held to the courts if you curse them, right? But if you were to pull up to their house and shoot them with a pistol, then obviously you would go to prison. Now, I posed this question to these people. You know what? If you believe that their life is worth taking or whatever, or isn't worth it enough for them to continue living, would you be willing to get a pistol and drive to their house and shoot them? And they're like, no, not even just like on a legal level, right? Even if I knew I could get away with it, it's just, I don't think I'd be able to live with myself. And I'm like, okay, so how would you be able to live with yourself if you cursed them, right? Or you had me curse them? Would it be any different? And they think it is, because magic isn't the same. No, it absolutely is. Basically, the only way baneful magic works is if, as above, so below, right? If you're willing to do the same fucked up shit, that you do in ritual, but do its physical expression. Not even like under the hypothetical, well, will I get away with it? No. Even if you knew you were going to go to prison, would you still go through and do this, right? It's so cold in this room, I'm stuttering. And I'm tired. But yeah, would you go through with this knowing that you would get arrested? And they're like, well, no. And it's like, okay, I would. That's why my rituals work. Because I'm the kind of person that could pull up to someone and fucking shoot them and then get arrested, throw my entire life away, and still be able to sleep at night. So, thus, it's no longer about me doing magic as a means of like, oh, well, I couldn't do that, so I'm going to do this instead. No, I would do that, I could do that, and I'm more than willing to do that. However, it's just as equally, if not more effective, to do it through ritual, right? And I can actually make a career off of it, make money off of it, and not be arrested. And it's crazy to me. More so when people say, oh, I can't believe they would burn witches at the stake for killing people. And it's like, no, the Middle East has the right idea, because this shit is real. It is actually more crazy to me that I don't get the death penalty for cursing people. Because basically I'm getting paid actual legally sanctioned blood money all the time, and it's not something that can be held in court. It's like, it's the same thing, right? I know that I could end someone's life and walk away, right? And that's why every time I curse someone to be wounded, mentally hurt, to die, whatever, I don't do anything in ritual that I wouldn't be willing to do in real life, right? But then here comes the other thing. There are people that I've met that get into baneful magic, right? But then they get out of it and they repent. They either become Christian or they join the right-hand path and dedicate themselves to healing, right? Because when they got into it, they're like, oh, well, these rituals work, okay? They work. And I know I can do this, right? Because they work. However, underlying problem, you feel guilty. You're like, oh, but was this the right decision to do? I don't know if I can live with myself. This seems kind of fucked up. And then you get nightmares, right? You start feeling empathy. You start worrying about your karma. And the thing is, that's another sign you shouldn't get into baneful magic. If you have empathy towards your enemy, if you can't close your heart to their suffering, then you shouldn't get into it, right? You should only get into baneful magic under two, positions, right? One, that you could do this in real life, that you're not using magic because you think this is somehow less bad or whatever. And then two, you're a killer, you're a warrior, right? You specialize, you have a spiritual predisposition towards ending life and waging warfare, and it's reflective of what you would do in real life. As a little kid, I think it was during not bring your parents to school and have them talk about their career. But I remember being a little kid in kindergarten, and they were like, write down what you want to do when you grow up and present it to the class. And as a little kid, I said, I want to work for Blackwater and get paid by the U.S. government to slaughter civilians. And no, that was, it was like, man, that was so long ago. Wow, it's crazy to think how long ago that was. But, basically, in order to successfully practice baneful magic, you have to be a piece of shit. That's the only way it works. And that's the only way you make a career out of it, is if you're a piece of shit, which I totally am, because here's the thing, I don't actually think I'm a piece of shit. I think being a warrior has been needed and is a very strong part of human nature, but there's no justifying it and explaining why being a soldier or a warrior is means a whole lot more than doing yoga and trying to find inner peace and trying to unlock the warrior goddess from within. That being a warrior means that you commit war crimes and you follow orders. Unless you're willing to do what needs to be done and you can live with that, you can sleep knowing that tomorrow is better, not because you compromised, not because you tried to heal, not because you tried to, solve everyone else's problems and go, oh, I can fix them. Oh, we can work through this, where you're like, no, actually, justice is quite simple. There are simple solutions. And, yeah, so if you don't have the will to do what needs to be done, then, there are so many other fully rewarding magical practices. But the amount of people that get into baneful magic and then they denounce it or whatever because they're like, this is the problem, because this, and that. And it's like, no, you're the problem. The problem is with you. You're feeling guilty, and now you're projecting this upon the practice and saying it's satanic and evil and sinister and whatever. And it's like, no, absolutely not. You're just a fucking spineless pussy. So, yeah, if you're like thinking, I don't know if I could live with that, then don't live with that. Don't do that, right? But yeah, as I start racking up more money, I'd like to actually invest in a proper baneful setup and eventually, make some money on the side doing that, right? I'd like to get back into it because, I was really good at it. I still am. And yeah. And I also, like, depending on the circumstance, right, I always give discounts, right? So if they are basically a pedophile, sometimes it's free, but also sometimes it isn't, just because ritual ingredients, but sometimes I'll only charge for the ingredients. If it's a communist or an anarchist, oftentimes it'll be really, really discounted or whatever, but it depends on the kind of anarchist. If it's a national anarchist, meh. If it's an eco-anarchist, meh. If it's an anarcho-communist, oh, absolutely. I'll give you like a 50% discount, right? Yeah, if it's one of the three Abrahamic religions, that you'll probably get like a 75% discount. But yeah, and here's the thing also, I use tarot cards and blood divination, which I should make a video explaining how that works. But yeah, I basically, I figure out whether or not this is actually like someone that's worth doing this to, right? I have a strong sense of justice, and oftentimes when doing baneful rituals, I trust in the judgment of the divination, but if I'm not sure on something, I'll contact Tyr, the god of war, and basically try to figure out things, right? I have such a big sense of honor and justice. I remember years ago, and I made a video, but I didn't post it because it seemed less like humility and more like me hating on myself. But I wasn't like, I made a few mistakes in the past when I was more involved with the online occult community, and someone really wronged me, but they were, some people made me feel like the situation was my fault. So I did one of the most nastiest, baneful rituals I ever had committed. And basically, I contacted the god Tyr and said, hey, if I'm actually a piece of shit and this person is not in the wrong and I'm actually the problem here, everything that I wish this ritual to accomplish, I want it projected onto me. And if I am actually the victim in this story, I want this to happen to them. And it happened to them, and my life started to get better, and I started to heal. And this person that was actually a really popular YouTuber that was known in the occult community, they deleted their channel, and yeah, a lot of things started going wrong in their lives or their life. So yeah, I don't curse people that I'm certain, like I just yeah, right. And this is probably one of my more controversial ones, but with the demographic shift and demographic replacement, one of my favorite rituals to do is when there are, how do I put it, when there's a fertility crisis. I've done rituals where basically I can take the spiritual fertility of a woman of a group I don't like that's pregnant, increasing the chances that she has a stillborn, miscarriage, and then transfer that fertility onto women that I think should be getting pregnant more often. And I used to do that for free. And again, if karma is real, then I'm just going to be like, spit roasted in hell. But no, I'm joking. It's not real. None of it's real. But yeah, I loved this fusion of infertility magic with fertility magic, right? I'm looking at a neighborhood and I'm like, oh, this neighborhood looked much better, 200 years ago. I don't like where it's at now. Oh, there's a lot of these pregnant women. Let me do a ritual. Let me set up sigils throughout the streets and siphon their energy. And then, this is a nice woman, nice family, nice, wholesome, fair family. Okay. Let me make sure their baby is born extra healthy. And there was one couple I knew that were from a European country that had failed with carrying a baby several times, and they came to me. And I was like, cool, well, let me increase the chances. So I was like, I looked at a demographic I didn't like and, saw there were pregnant women in the area. I put up sigils specifically targeting this demographic, and then charged another sigil in a ritual to make this woman more fertile. And yeah, and you could say this is fucked up. That's fucking evil. I'm going to curse you now. And it's like, yes, but when your nation is getting invaded by troglodytes and you can't even live in a homeland, but everyone else gets a homeland, then that's warfare against you and your people, and you need to do what you need to do. I actively look at the streets every single day and I'm thinking, yeah, this is a war, and if you commit a physical war, then it's considered accelerationism, terrorism. But if you do a spiritual war, it's just you practicing your First Amendment rights, and the atheists just scoff at you for being a little bigoted. But if you're an actual occultist and you know what I'm referring to and what I'm implying and what I do, and you're disgusted by this, well, cool. But yeah, no, there are Dietrich Eckhart types out there with fertility magic and baneful magic, so that's fun, And I'll say this all with my face out there. I don't give a shit. It makes me smile, knowing that I give joy to those that I love, that I would like to share the same society with, and that I, get the leering gaze of people that I don't believe should live in my society, and I'm glad I could turn, magic that has become such a liberal, new agey, egalitarian thing and actually channel it towards my beliefs. That's a good thing. In fact, there was a book written quite a few years ago called Magick for the Resistance, right? And basically it's how to curse fascist and white supremacist, and it's how to curse all these people and to strengthen the LGBT community, minorities, and fight for equality and freedom. It's a really good book. I'm actually writing a counter to that that I've been working on for a few years, dedicated to harsh, absolutely reprehensible, baneful magic for, right-wing youth. And it's going to be called Magick Against the Resistance. So if you ever see that book, you know I wrote it. So anyways, yeah. So anyways, I'm going to be like super fucking busy, toiling away. So yeah. And I guess this video counted as a video on baneful magic. But yeah, don't get into baneful magic unless you're actually the kind of person that should be practicing that. Oh, right. Also, there's probably someone seething at what I said about the full fertility thing. But I guess if you're more, sensible, enlightened, liberal, you'll be pleased to hear that I'd also like to invest in baneful magic to curse conservatives. Yes, to curse conservative lawmakers, and to promote Planned Parenthood. I love Planned Parenthood. And funnily enough, unrelated, did you know that, the founder was actually a eugenicist that had some very strong draconian views on how society should be genetically structured? Those are one of those instances where liberalism is actually, for the win, actually. But yeah, I plan on doing rituals to actually empower people that work at Planned Parenthood or whatever. And since people that practice baneful magic are going to be called satanic baby murderers anyways, why not? Except I think I have a more Spartan mentality as far as my reasons go. Because here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of the conservative family model. It's just reprehensible to me, and everything that conservatives are fighting for. And yeah, like conservatives are, like people like Trump are more progressive than people in the left as far as like certain relations go, as far as who they want to empower, because conservatives, they'll basically empower anyone and everyone to feel morally superior while making money, and they'll always choose making money over being morally superior. So ultimately, like the only race that exists to them is the dollar. But if they can help it, they like Dennis Prager or fucking Ben Shapiro and all these other fucking Looney Tunes characters. They'll basically try to feel morally superior at the expense of a nation's population. And yeah, I don't like the way they structure their families. I don't. Um, and I like Planned Parenthood and I can't show it on YouTube because that would be controversial. But, I'll be as vague as possible and leave it to your imagination. But if you look at it, abortion clinics, the vast majority of women that fill the abortion clinics are women with a really, really low IQ. Like people that are fucking stupid get abortions, right? And they come from demographics that are really fucking stupid and have low IQ. Like really dumb people, right? Like fucking, like really extremely low IQ. Whereas maternity wards are filled by women of higher IQ that typically, but not always, but typically come from demographics that have higher intelligence. So yeah, if the dumb people are filling the abortion clinics and the smart people are filling the maternity wards, doesn't that actually, isn't that actually better, right? Aren't the conservatives all about stability? It seems to me that, forcing a little girl to give birth to her father's rape baby or having a more diverse population doesn't really seem stable. But, conservatives have a fetish for disabled people and creating them, even though they also have a fetish for creating economies that only suit people that are not disabled. So they're sadistic is basically what I'm trying to say. Whereas I'm not sadistic. When people are like, your views are cruel, they don't, they're not nice towards, they're ableist, right? They're not nice towards people that are at a disadvantage. And I'm like, good, we're on the same page, because I don't think people should have to have any disadvantages. And you can cure that by making sure that people aren't born with disadvantages. So yes, I'll be doing rituals to support Planned Parenthood, right? And this would probably, this would probably make liberals think, yeah, man, were we the bad guys all along? And it's like, yes, you were, and in this regard, welcome to the club, you know, grab a cup of coffee. But anyways, yeah, so that's where I'll end this video.